Hi, my name is Carly Renzi, and I'm the country head of ANZ Laos, coming to you from lockdown in Vientiane with Proud to Be Us Laos founder and president, Anand Wapa. Thank you so much for joining us, Anand, and helping to bring International Day Against LGBTQ, and I've got it behind me on the screen, IA plus discrimination from May 17 to ANZ Laos. Great to have you here. I think that for us at ANZ and just broadly business generally, diversity and inclusion are some pretty key ingredients to organizational resilience. And it's something I know many businesses have been looking to build as we face into the COVID-19 pandemic. For me, growing up in Australia, I had teachers, classmates, teammates in, judo and wrestling, coaches, and family who identified as LGBTIQ. So naturally, I'd expect that my work environment also reflects a similar level of diversity to that, and that kind of helps us to really shape a community where people can thrive. So I want to ask you, here in Laos, how many people would you estimate identify as LGBTIQ?
Well, thank you, Carly, for having me. It is a wonderful day. And I think not just in Laos, but everywhere in the world, right? Especially with people with the rainbow soul. So to answer your question, I have the official figure from Center for HIV/AIDS and STI. So please reminded that this is for the HIV/AIDS prevention program of the government targeting LGBTI people. So the number is estimated to be 54,624 by the Center for HIV/AIDS and the STI. But for the official research or data collection, unfortunately, I think this is under research. And I think that this issue is still new to the Lao government, but I don't think it's new for Laos. I think we have so many LGBTI friends all over the country, and I think they are out and proud. So this is the number that I can provide at the moment.
Thanks so much, Anand. So it's quite a few people here that identify as LGBTI, and I guess I'm curious. Do you think that there is any stigma associated with professionals in Laos who identify as LGBTI?
Yeah, I think speaking of professional and employment, I think it is what we should talk about out loud more and more because the level of acceptance usually come from entertainment stuff, like, okay, LGBTI people are good at dancing, they're good at entertaining, they're good at singing, But when it comes to the serious business, serious topic like leadership and, being the leader, something like that, it is something that society still kind of skeptical about their ability and their capacity and their leadership. So I think that it comes to employment or a professional, it is something that we still have a lot to talk about. But I think that the progress has been made since we started to partner up with Faculty of Law and Political Science to do the research or start small initiative on anti-discrimination. At least not a policy, but maybe like regulation within the workplace. So this is something that being started. Yeah.
I think something that we've sort of spoken about before, and certainly on International Women's Day for young girls, we were talking about also, is that it's much easier to sort of see yourself as a professional when there are others before you who are outspoken and visible. But that can be hard, I guess, when there is a stigma associated with it. So I guess the question that I have to ask is, is it that the stigma is associated if you if you're outside of that entertainment industry more? So if you're a professional, maybe this is something that you're still keeping quiet in Laos,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right.
And could that be, I mean, are there any anti-discrimination laws to protect professional people who identify as LGBTI when they're, for example, going for jobs or looking for employment or even, you know, within the workplace to sort of help with that?
At the moment, we don't have any anti-discrimination law. Even in a policy, we don't have that. According to our research, together with Faculty of Law and Political Science, we have noticed that most companies, corporates, and CSO and SME, they refer to the national law and under the constitution of the Lao PDR. Well, I think it is fair that when they say that all our people are protected by law, regardless of their who they are. But I think that when it comes to sexuality, when it comes to sexual orientation and gender identity, this is something that Lao needs to learn more. You know, it's not just a man and woman, but sometimes you have men who wants to become a woman and a woman who wants to be a man. So this is something that quite new to the formal level in the country, but it's not new for the community. So I think that yes, we don't have that informal way, but we are advocating for that. Maybe we start with the workplace, you know, and then after it's successful, then we can start a bigger conversation with the national stakeholders or with policymakers and so on.
I think that that's it's interesting because I mean you often see nowadays at least you sort of see where the government hasn't yet sort of caught up. You do see some corporate entities taking the lead and trying to sort of drive those policies because for shareholders it makes sense and also for their employees and their customers it makes sense obviously to reflect a more diverse environment. And you see that right across the board on environmental policies, on inclusion policies. The corporate sector really sort of stepping up and advocating there. I guess as I think about myself as a business leader for ANZ and looking across AusChem and things like that, how do you see that employers, both on the private side but also on the public side, can protect LGBTI people in the workplace better?
I think it is a very important question. Both public and private can play critical and significant role in protecting the LGBTI employees. I think let's start with something simple. I think let's focus on their ability, their competency, their skills, rather than looking at their, their outside appearance. I think that, judgment is still a problem in most workplace, in most, job market. As I said earlier, that most people still look at these people as the subject of entertainment, the subject of fun, So I think that maybe they accept, but it's not like accepting in another level. It's just acceptance in a very non-serious level. So I think that we start small, like for example, like ANZ doing is great to set a good example for many corporates and banks and private sector to follow through. I think that it start with something small. I think proud to be us, we started with an event, and then now we growing up. So I think that most companies or even in the government, maybe we start with the monthly meeting. You talk about this issue. You celebrate in the international theme for like IDAHOT. You celebrate the International Human Rights Day or any days that relate to your goals, to your business goal, to your company's goal. I'm sure that, like you said earlier, like corporates and private sector nowadays are playing a significant role because they employ lots and lots of people compared to other sector. So I think that many people will look at the example set by the corporates. And yeah, I think not just the corporate or CSO and government, I think all of us can contribute to this subject.
I think that what what we found is really important at ANZ is that it's not just people who identify as LGBTI that are sort of speaking up, but that we get kind of everybody speaking up and understanding why it's important, because they've got family that identify it, they have got customers that identify it, they've got we see it a lot more, and so we understand why you'd want to be sort of representing and bringing up the best interest for everyone, and that's one of the reasons why we'll do the unconscious bias training. We will look at some of the I suppose more gender norm kind of assumptions and challenge those, and do training around that. And also, I think as an organisation, obviously we'll celebrate the big days like IDAHOT. The Sydney Mardi Gras is one that ANZ sponsors still. It's really important to us in our identity to just make sure that people feel safe to work at ANZ. And I know that that's something that means that we attract the best talent, because there are professionals out there who are extremely talented, who may not feel comfortable in every workplace unless they can sort of bring a little bit more to the table. But I want to talk a little bit more about, here in Laos, in lockdown at the moment, COVID-19 is obviously keeping us all very separate, working from home and that sort of thing. I guess I'm curious, has COVID-19 had any impact on the global push for LGBTI rights, and in particular in Laos, has it had an impact or helped or worsened the situation here for LGBTI persons?
We also have been asked a lot by our development partners as well about this question, and from the community, from our community side, we come up with the answer like, yes, it affects us a lot. For example, a lot of migrant workers who work in a neighboring country, they have to come back. And it's not just like the economic crisis side, but it also, some of them, they left home long time ago, and then they change, the gender identity is changed. And when they come home, everything, you have to start building trust or relationship with your peers, with your cousins, with your relatives. Yeah. So they face a great deal of depression and mental health and issue because of the change of their body, the change of their identity. So this is something that we hear a lot from our community members in the grassroots level. And also accessing to medical and reproductive health, sexual health services is also a problem. Some kind of medicines, they have to obtain it in neighboring country, like drugs related to, like hormones and stuff, like transgender people mostly. Yeah. And of course, it's very difficult to carry on their businesses as usual. Everything is locked down, everything is canceled. So this is something that we can share from our community.
And I guess it's fair to say that the impacts would be certainly felt to the extent that there are a greater proportion of LGBTI people that are in entertainment or in hospitality and kind of serving.
Right.
These are the industries that are most impacted by COVID as well, right? And I certainly hope that, at least in the professional space, that we're sort of ensuring that our people are really well connected when they are in lockdown, and especially if, as you say, people returning from overseas or from environments where they've changed and then having to kind of come back in and face into sort of family and friends who may not have kind of moved to the same level, trying to understand and get used to that. So it's important that employers, I think, keep connected and make sure people feel like they're still able to reach out if they've got any problems that they need help with. I wanted to just, thank you so much for talking to me today and kind of going through these questions. I wanted to leave with a positive note, in particular, just around some professional stories from people that identify as LGBTI in Laos. Have you got some positive stories that you can share with us about when it's worked and, where you've seen some success here?
Yes, I think we can share and even name some of our champions here. Like you already met Dr. In Lusa, the transgender lady who got a PhD degree and now she's teaching at the college. It is something that a very successfully and a successful and inspiring story that our community is very proud of. And I hope that, huh?
She's sharp as a tack too. She's very, very bright lady.
Oh yes, yeah. She's a great spokesperson. Yeah, she set a very good example for many younger LGBTI people to follow. She's absolutely inspirational. And I think that other people, we also have people in the entertainment industry. Of course, no wonder about that. They are very talented and they are very even the fashion industry or entertainment industry in Laos used to be quite conservative, but now we see that they come out and then for example, like Lao Fashion Week, now we have like a non gender binary model, and they can express whatever gender they want to express. And I think that in corporates, in CSO, even in the government, I'm sure that we have friends there, and I think that people are coming out and people are shouting out about this issue. So I think that even Laos, compare Laos to other countries, maybe we are kind of left behind, but I think we are getting there.
And I think you're very much a cause behind that, Anand. Introducing LGBTI rights movement here and founding Proud to Be Us in Laos. I think big kudos to you for doing that, and thank you so much for bringing out the best of our diverse and inclusive environment here. And I know at ANZ we're absolutely reaping the rewards of having an inclusive and diverse workforce that really does allow us to sort of perform our best and be absolutely operationally resilient throughout this crisis too. So thank you very much for your time here.
Thank you for having me. It means a lot to the community.
Yeah, IDAHOT Day. And I look forward to sort of sharing your video with my colleagues and community.
Yeah, thank you so much.